Hello and welcome to Not Retired Yet. It's a podcast about looking for work and finding a path to what is next as older job seekers. I'm Lucas, I'm 52, I need a job. I was a software engineer until recently at a startup where I had been for 4.5 years. The business let me go along with 10 other people of varying ages in May of 2025. I still consider myself a software engineer, though that title doesn't quite work with my job search approach and incorporation of new tools, namely AI. I wanted to start this podcast because of the challenges that I face as an older person looking for work. I'm not speaking about ageism or being crotchety, get off my lawn, or old man yells at cloud, but to a constant and nagging feeling of how different it feels now. I've been laid off and fired before at various stages of my life, and it's different now. It feels different. Part of that difference is the feeling that, yes, even though the end of my career is a visible thing now, I'm emboldened by my skills, my network, and my ability to step back and really assess. Another part of that difference is this unique place in history we are in, as AI is taking over much of the work software engineers did up until very recently. I'm not going to rant against AI, but I will talk about that aspect of working with a new tool as I interview people and dig into their own work history and job searching. Anyway, I'm not throwing a pity party. I'm not pointing any fingers or laying blame. I have agency. We have agency as our experiences have led us here and will lead us out. Of that I have no doubt. We are used to scrapping for ourselves and making ends meet by any means possible. We know it isn't going to just happen, nor that anyone is beholden to help us out. It is in that spirit that I started this and hope that with every stat, with every interview, that attitude comes out. Fortunately, us older job seekers, we have some tailwind to help us out. We are mindful and can teach ourselves new tricks and angles to a job hunt. I'd like to focus a lot on this tailwind in these discussions. Our families, our hobbies, our networks that help us get up in the morning and face that next rejection email or invitation to a gauntlet peer coding interview session. We have tailwind, true, but we also have some headwind and challenges abound for older job seekers. The famous quote by Mark Zuckerberg on how he thinks young people are smarter feels like biting down on a piece of tinfoil. He says, "I want to stress the importance of being young and technical. Young people are just smarter. Why are most chess masters under 30? I don't know. Young people just have simpler lives." That was in 2007. Zuck just turned 41 in 2025. But that taste is in the mouths of every hiring manager. And as we head into interviews in person or with our cameras on over Zoom, that taste is in our mouths as well. It can be overwhelming. It was overwhelming when I was 20, with no mortgage, family, or debt really. Now there's a ton of pressure. My life's numbers, and I mention them to provide some context not only about this pressure, but to showcase how different a job search is when you're 20 versus when you're 50. My monthly expenses. Mortgage, $3,300. Home equity line of credit, $650. Credit card, $600 a month. Utilities, $400 a month. That equals to $4,950 every month, and that's my debt. This doesn't include living expenses like food, car insurance, gas, etc. I owe this every month and I cannot slide. Let's look at some other numbers too. As of January 2025, the U.S. unemployment rate was around 4%. People in the age range of 40 to 55 make up a fraction of that, with an estimated count of 1.5 to 2 million people actively looking for work. I don't know what to make of these numbers right now. On one hand, they appear too small, but on the other, they point to millions of people. Additionally, that's 2 million people across industries. My industry, tech, is experiencing a fraction of that fraction, but again, fractions of a fraction still represent real people. And if we further reduce to a specific area, say Washington State, or maybe even only the Seattle metropolitan area, we are going to get a handful of folks like me, which is still going to be in the 4 digits. Probably some arguments could be made about remote work, and whittling down to a specific location is less important. But I don't know. It seems like more and more employers are going to a hybrid model of work, and if not full RTO. Some conjecture and anecdotal evidence here for sure. But follow me down this path some more. If we believe that there are over 1,000 people in the Seattle metro area that are looking for work in the tech sector who are 40 to 55 years old, how many jobs are available? Who are we competing with? Real-time numbers in this area are very hard to pin down, and anyway, I struggle to equate these numbers with real conversations that just ache at the time out of work people of all ages are experiencing. How can we have 4% unemployment and people are spending more than 6 months looking for work? I want that answer. But so maybe numbers like those aren't the point. I want to talk in more of an intuitive focus anyway, on my own conversations and how those fit into a larger experience. I don't want to ignore the official tallies, and maybe I just don't quite know how to decipher them yet. But I want to know of individual experiences, how your job search is going, how you are holding up, and what your read of our collective landscape is. Huge shout out to Kurt Benton and his awesome podcast, Starting Over at 50. It documents Kurt's journey trying to revitalize his career after his own business failed after 14 years. By way of comparison, Kurt's podcast is more of a narrative. I want Not Retired Yet to be an interview format. Less introspection and more spotlighting the environment that we face as older job seekers. But I recommend listening to Starting Over at 50. Kurt's highlighting personal issues and unflinchingly talking about what he wants and doesn't want out of his next steps maps well to some ideas that have been gestating in my mind too. For instance, is punching the proverbial clock a path I care to go down one more time? Is starting from square one at an organization how I want to operate anymore? Do I need to study LeetCode or cracking the coding interview, or do I put my efforts into prompt engineering and prototyping and experimenting? Part of that is really exciting in a way that tech hasn't been exciting for me in a very long time. Of course, what we want and what we get are two very different things. I would like to produce a 20-minute episode every other week, but we'll see how that cadence plays out. I do hope that we can get some real questions asked and answered in this crazy, cool, important time in our lives and in our work. And I hope you will join me.